Never defend yourself. The moment you explain, you kneel. You hand them the throne and beg them to let you stay in the room. But power does not beg. It doesn't explain. It doesn't flinch when accused. When someone throws dirt, let them. The man who stays still in the storm looks stronger than the man flailing with an umbrella. Your silence isn't weakness. It is a mirror. And mirrors make your enemies speak more than they should. They keep talking. They keep revealing. They try to draw you out. Don't step in the ring they built. Burn the stage by refusing the play. People believe the one who speaks least has the most to hide and the most control. Because defense equals guilt, and guilt is a confession even if it's dressed in logic. You never fight on someone else's terms. You never answer to a frame that puts you beneath. They want a reaction. Give them confusion, they want guilt. Give them stillness, you don't react, you reposition. The lion doesn't explain why it hunts, it just hunts. So when they call you arrogant, let them. Arrogance looks like strength to the weak. When they call you ruthless, let it echo. Ruthless means you're feared, and fear controls. When they say you've changed, smile, because the old version of you was easy to manipulate. Every time you stay silent, you train the world to second. Guess their attack. Every time you speak too much, you train them to poke again. Your words should cost them something, and your silence should haunt them. Power flips when you refuse the script. When they come with accusations, change the subject. Laugh or ask a question that makes them explain themselves, because the one who explains is the one who obeys. The one who stays calm owns the fire. They may throw stones, but if you never flinch, people begin to wonder if those stones were ever real. Silence is not passive. It's the kill switch. Learn to pause. Let tension grow. Make them sweat in their certainty. Defend nothing. Own everything. Flip the power without lifting a finger. That's not arrogance. That's design. The moment you react, you're no longer in control. They pushed a button and you responded like a machine. Reacting is submission, even when disguised as strength. They throw a question, you answer. They raise a brow, you shift your tone. Now they know they control the room, because you moved when they moved. True power doesn't blink, it watches. You are either the trigger or the one being triggered. Reaction is never neutral. It's always a form of surrender, because when you react, you confirm their importance. You make their words a threat. You make their gaze a weapon. They don't need to defeat you. They just need to move you. Once you're moved, you've been captured. Defense always comes after the attack, which means the attacker owns the clock. Own the clock, own the power. People don't follow the loudest voice. They follow the stillest presence. The one who doesn't defend signals, he doesn't fear loss. The one who doesn't flinch creates mystery, and mystery is dominance in silence. If you feel the urge to explain, swallow it. If you want to clear the air, let it stay foggy. Clarity is a gift. You don't owe it. Defending is giving when they've earned nothing. They don't want your truth, they want your energy. Don't give it. They poke, you pause. They accuse, you observe. In their desperation to provoke, they expose more of themselves than you ever need to show. Defense invites cross-examination. You open a door, and they walk through it with more questions, more control, more confidence. Reaction is a teacher. It teaches them your soft spots. Every word you say maps out your pressure points. They watch what hurts you. They see what makes you over-explain. They mock where you rush to clarify. And they keep those weapons close for next time. Every reaction becomes ammunition. They use it to study you, to predict you, to control you. You taught them the pattern. They just followed your rhythm. Break the rhythm, kill the pattern, don't react. Even silence, if held long enough, becomes dominance. You must learn to be unreadable. Unreadable people are untouchable, and untouchable people are obeyed. Never explain. Never answer quickly. Never correct the lie. if the lie doesn't cost you. Control isn't taken, it's surrendered by those who feel too much and react too soon. Control isn't in dominance, it's in composure. In your silence, they start to question themselves. In your stillness, they start to fear what you're thinking. If you want to lead, you must be the last one moved. They test your ego, don't feed it. They test your patience, outlast them. They test your character, don't defend it, embody it. The moment you defend who you are, you admit it's not obvious. Let your presence answer what your words never should. Reactions are for the uncertain. Defensiveness is for the exposed. You are neither. Be the one who watches, not the one who responds. Be the one who creates pressure, not the one who absorbs it. When you don't defend, you force the world to interpret you in silence. And silence, when controlled, is the sharpest edge in the room. They accuse you. You stay silent. They expect a denial. You give them a stare. Now they begin to wonder if they were right, or if you know something they don't. That is the beginning of psychological warfare, because silence is not emptiness. Silence is suggestion. It's a trap made of uncertainty. The moment you speak, the trap is disarmed. You just gave them something to stand on. A target to shoot at, a tone to read, a word to twist. Defense is a confession with makeup on. Even if you're right, you sound like you're trying to be, because people don't listen to truth. They watch posture. They don't hear your logic. They feel your urgency, and urgency looks like fear. If you speak too soon, you look cornered. If you speak too long, you look guilty. If you speak too softly, you look unsure. Every sound you make becomes a weapon in their hand. But silence leaves them with their own thoughts, and their thoughts, when left unchecked, eat them alive. People hate silence because it forces them to think. And most people don't like what they find, so they project, they guess, they overthink. Let them. Your stillness becomes their paranoia. Your lack of defense becomes a puzzle they can't solve. And when the mind can't solve, it fills in the blanks with fear. Fear of what you're not saying. Fear of what you might do. Fear of what you know. The loudest man in the room is rarely the one in charge. The one who doesn't explain is the one they watch the closest. When you defend, you validate the accusation. You legitimize the attack. You say, "This deserves my attention." You say, "This touched a nerve." You say, "You might be right." Even if you deny, you just repeated their claim out loud. Now everyone remembers it. Now it spreads. Now it multiplies. Because defense always amplifies the rumor. Silence kills its oxygen. You don't need to fight fire with fire. Sometimes you just shut the door and starve the flame. If the claim is absurd, let it hang. Its weight will pull it down. If the claim is calculated, don't give it the reward of your reply. Silence is your refusal to entertain the script. It says, "You are not worth my breath." It says, "This is beneath me." It says, "You hold no power here." And that statement, without ever being said, speaks louder than anything you could argue. People follow certainty, but they fear mystery. Certainty is defensiveness, predictable, obvious, emotional. Mystery is silence, unreadable, detached, cold. When you defend yourself, you shatter the illusion. You show your gears. You reveal your need to be seen, to be understood, to be liked. Need is weakness, and the strong appear need less. You must train your face to reveal nothing. You must train your tongue to obey restraint. You must train your mind to see an accusation as nothing more than a test, and most tests are designed to expose the weak. Accusations aren't always about truth. They are about control. They aren't thrown to uncover facts. They're thrown to move you, to shift your position, to test your frame, to see if you'll break it. They don't need proof. They just need pressure. And if you flinch, you just gave them power. Understand this. An accusation is bait, not a blade. The wound only happens if you bite. When someone accuses you, they are not speaking to you. They are speaking to the room. To the crowd, to the audience, you are the stage, not the conversation. They don't care if it's true. They care if it sticks, and it sticks when you respond emotionally. The minute you try to clear your name, you build the fire with your own hands. Every denial you speak adds wood to the pile, and suddenly you are burning for a lie that never had weight until you gave it one. Don't play their game. Flip the board. Accusations are not personal. They're strategic. People throw them to test status, to punch up, to see if they can level the field. If you react, you just leveled it for them. You made them equal, or worse, you made them right. That's why you don't defend. You reposition, they say. You're manipulative. You smile. They say, you only care about yourself. You blink slowly. They say, you're fake. You adjust your cuff and keep walking. Let the silence do the talking. Let your indifference sting louder than any words. Because if they're using accusations as tools, you use silence as your weapon. Now they're exposed. Now everyone watches them scramble to prove something you never answered. That's when the trap flips. The accuser becomes the performer, and the longer you say nothing, the more ridiculous their stage becomes. They raise their voice. You lower your energy. They stack more claims. You stay still, and the still one always looks stronger, because when you're calm, they look unstable. When you're silent, they look desperate. You control the tempo, and tempo controls perception. Accusations are leverage, but only if you let them land. You don't block them, you void them. You remove their impact by showing no change in posture. Same eyes, same tone, same rhythm. This unnerves them because their tool didn't work. And now they look weak for swinging it. Most accusations aren't about justice. They're about insecurity. They feel small, so they throw shade. They feel powerless, so they try to provoke a reaction. And when they get one, they feel like they've won something. Even if it's false, they made you move. And that's enough for people to assume guilt. So don't move. Let the accusation hang in the air. Let it rot. Let it stink. You don't need to explain your truth to someone who's not seeking it. You don't need to convince when you already know who you are. Let them use their tools. Let them swing wildly. Let them burn their own hands. Because when they realize their accusations can't move you, they stop throwing them. And when the attacks stop, it's not because they found peace. It's because they hit a wall. You became the wall. Accusations are tools, not threats, unless you treat them like fire. But if you treat them like air, they pass through you. And you stay standing. It's never about what's said. It's about how it's said, who says it, when they say it, and what frame surrounds it. Words don't control perception. Frames do. The person who sets the frame controls the meaning of every moment. The person who sets the frame decides who looks guilty, who looks weak, who looks in control. Frames are invisible cages, and most people live inside them without realizing. If someone accuses you, and you defend, they set the frame. You're playing inside their narrative. If someone questions you, and you rush to explain, you've accepted their role as judge. If someone doubts you, and you try to prove, you've already lost the frame. The most dangerous weapon isn't a lie. It's a well-timed assumption. They throw it out as if it's truth, and you, in your panic to reject it, validate it. That's the trap, and it works because you forget the deeper rule. The first to react is the one who doesn't own the frame. Power is not about truth. Power is about control of context. You win by shifting perception, not facts. They say, "Why were you late?" You don't say, "Traffic." You say, "Why does that matter now?" shift the frame. They say, I heard you did this. You don't say, that's not true. You say, interesting, who benefits from that lie? Flip the frame. They say, you don't seem honest. You don't say, I am. You say, do you always trust your feelings more than facts? Reframe the game. The moment they answer your question, they are now inside your frame, and that's where power lives. Don't dance to their rhythm. Make them adjust to yours. Control the pace. Control the emotional tone. Control what gets attention. Frame control isn't aggression. It's calm disruption. You don't fight their story. You replace it without warning. The confident don't react. They redirect. Because reacting means someone else has the pen. Someone else is writing the scene, and you're just a character in their plot. But if you control the frame, you become the author. The room follows the author. The group believes the one who doesn't flinch. Most people want to be right. Few know how to look above the debate. Do that, and you don't need to win. They'll feel like you already did. Because when your energy doesn't match theirs, you rise above the frame they built. And once you're above it, everyone else looks up to you. That's the trick. They don't follow logic. They follow presence. Whoever looks least disturbed seems most in control. And whoever seems in control defines what's real. They will believe you if you never try to prove yourself. They will doubt themselves if you keep your ground. Let them accuse. Let them twist. Don't refute. Reposition. Make them question their own tone. Make them feel like they misunderstood the moment. Make them ask themselves if they overreached. All without raising your voice. All without defending a thing. They'll adjust. They'll soften. They'll start watching your reactions more than their own words. And that's when you own the room, not because you argued better, but because you framed better. Control the frame and you never need to defend. Because the moment they speak inside your structure, their power dissolves. And yours becomes the only version they can see. The one who strikes first is not always right, but they are almost always in control. The one who defends is ruled by emotion, by fear, by urgency, by the need to be understood. That need is the leash around their neck. When you're defending, you've already accepted their rules. You've already started playing a game you didn't design. Power doesn't play by rules. It writes them. Defense is rarely strength. It's usually panic in disguise. You say you're correcting the story, but you're really correcting your ego. You're bleeding pride, not strategy. The powerful don't need to look right. They need to remain untouchable. And to remain untouchable, you must shift from emotion to intent, from feeling to control. Offense is cold, measured, planned. It's not about noise. It's about pressure. You don't defend your position, you place others in check. You don't respond to the strike, you make them regret throwing it. Emotion wants to respond. Strategy wants to reposition. They accuse, you don't reply. You reveal something about them. They throw shade you don't explain. You cast a longer shadow. That's offense. You don't just absorb attacks. You let them swing into the void. Then you shift the spotlight to their intention. You ask questions. You hold silence. You turn the heat back without moving your pulse. The moment they feel off balance, you've flipped the script, because defense is reaction, and reaction is emotion. And emotion is readable, and readable people are predictable, and predictable people are easy to control. You must never be predictable. You must never be emotional in public. You must never show that you're managing damage. You must look like you're managing the scene. That's the difference between defense and offense. Defense is loud. Offense is calm. Defense says, I hope you believe me. Offense says, you can't afford to doubt me. Defense tries to protect image. Offense controls the environment. They speak, you speak back. You've lost. They speak, you change the topic. you're now playing chess. They insult you, you insult them back. You look equal. They insult you, you laugh like it's beneath you. You look untouchable. That's not ego. That's hierarchy. Power is maintained not by shouting back, but by making them feel they should have never spoken. Because when you attack back with precision, it doesn't look emotional, it looks designed. They must fear your silence, they must question your smile, because when you look calm and they feel angry, the room turns to you, not them. Offense is never about being aggressive, it's about being deliberate. Move slowly, speak less, hit once, hit deep, let them throw 10 jabs. You just need one that changes their posture permanently. Offense is not loud, it's final. Defense is not noble, it's obedient. You either play to be safe, or you play to control. Choose control. Every time you choose to explain, you're explaining for approval. But every time you ask a question instead, you shift power. They try to corner you, you make them explain their angle. Now they're on the defensive. And once they're defending, you've already won. Because the one who's explaining is the one trying not to lose. You're not here to survive the moment. You're here to own it. That means no emotional reactions, only calculated moves. That means no defense, only redirection, only questions, only control. That's not cruelty, that's clarity. Offense is strategy. Defense is emotion. And power never apologizes for being strategic. Every time you react, you reveal the map. You show them the doors they can open, the wires they can pull, the tone that triggers you, the words that make you shift. Reactions are not just emotional, they are educational. They teach people where to poke, where to prod, where your structure bends. They remember, even if they laugh with you, they take notes. They saw what made you flinch. They saw what made you over-explain. They saw what made you stutter, and that data becomes their weapon in the next round. Control is not about strength. It's about secrecy. You never show them what works on you. The less they know, the less they can move you. The more you react, the more they own your script. You've just handed them a remote control to your behavior. Now all they have to do is push the same button twice to see if it still works. It's not just enemies that study you. Friends do too, colleagues, family. Everyone does it even if they don't realize it. People test boundaries, that's human nature. But the mistake is responding the same way twice. Predictability is permission. They accuse you, you defend. They accuse again, you defend again. They've confirmed the loop. Now they can trigger it at will. Every reaction confirms a pattern. Every pattern becomes a leash. You must break the rhythm, kill the loop, shatter expectation. They say something to bait you. You stare, they insult, you yawn, they provoke, you smirk. Now the wires don't work. Now the buttons are jammed. Now you become unreadable, and unreadable people are unmanageable. Mystery is not about hiding. It's about being unprogrammable. You never let anyone feel like they understand your dashboard, because once they do, they'll start pressing. Control is not in resisting emotion, it's in hiding it. Let the storm hit your chest, let your heart spike, let your mind rage, but your face, stone, your tone, measured, your reply, if any, unpredictable. Sometimes silence, sometimes a joke, sometimes a question that puts them on trial. They won't know what's coming, and that's the point. You never give them feedback that validates their tactics, because if they get feedback, they get strategy. People aren't attacking you, they're testing cause and effect. And if they see that it works, they'll do it again. Louder, faster, more public. You don't give them the cause. You don't give them the effect. Let their attack fall into a void. Let their bait dissolve into silence. Soon they'll stop, not because they respect you, but because they can't move you. and people only play where they feel control. Once they lose control, they lose interest. And once they lose interest, you gain freedom. You don't need to defend against every insult. You don't need to clarify every rumor. You don't need to react to every tone. You need to become emotionally invisible, not because you're numb, but because you're in control. They can't use what they can't see. They can't twist what you never give. Reactions are data. Reactions are permission. Reactions are weakness masquerading as honesty. Let your emotions inform you, but never inform them, because every reaction teaches them how to control you. And if they know how to control you, they don't have to defeat you. They just have to press send.